Everyone, I'm here with Tome Froese. And when I thought of the topic of abstraction, I thought of his series that he's been doing on Instagram. He has a way of simplifying objects and abstracting them in his style. So, Tom, how did you start working in this way? Was this recent? Has it been an evolution? How do you do it?
Well, it's hard to pinpoint the exact genesis moment for the way I work now, but I think I've always, I started off as a designer. And so I think there's a level of abstraction you get used to working with as a designer. You don't really think of narrative images so much as shape and design principles and composition and stuff like that. And I think that's just always been a part of how I work. And I've always been inspired by mid-century illustrators and designers, which is very abstract often. And so I think it started off emulating that, inspired by that, imitating it, and just kind of working out, how do I do that? I really like working flat. I really like working symbolically. I like to avoid realism for some reason. And so all of that just naturally leads you to asking, how do you represent things in a recognizable way, in a simpler, clearer way?
When I think of abstraction, I either think of reducing and distilling, or really focusing on what the thing is and representing some sort of essence. Does any of that resonate with you?
Absolutely. Yeah. Abstraction for me is very much about reducing something to its essence. It's about taking, the literal thing might be, if you wanted to represent like someone running, would be to draw the runner, right? In the most realistic way, like, and that would work in many cases. They have an expressive gesture, but like, how can you take the feeling of that runner running, the speed, whatever it is, and simplify it? And it doesn't mean you have to turn it into a blob. It could still represent a runner, but you abstract it in a way that somehow expresses it in a more interesting way. I mean, you could take a camera and photograph a runner, and that would do great. So the abstraction is like the part of the answer to why would you illustrate versus take a photo of something.
I really like that. I feel like you just ended on a thought that I want to think about for a little longer. But when I think of abstract artists, I almost think like they spend more time thinking than a representational artist does. Do you do like a lot of thinking and sketching before you get to the work, or do you develop that as you work?
Yeah, I don't know how fast or slow I am compared to, say, a more representational illustrator. I imagine that my final execution probably takes faster than someone who takes time to build up with strokes, brush strokes, and paint and all that. I don't know much about that, but I do spend, anyone who's taken my classes or hears me talk about this topic knows I have this two-stage kind of ideation process where at first I just draw from references without worrying about abstraction or anything. I just draw what I see, and I call that O mode, or observational mode. And then it's like just like taking some raw ingredients. It's like pulling the grapes off the vine. And then the next stage is to put those away and then draw from my imagination toward whatever the problem I'm trying to solve or the idea that I'm trying to represent. I call that I mode, or ideation mode. And that's like putting the grapes in, a vat and putting some yeast in it and letting it ferment to become wine. So you take this kind of like raw data from your observational images, but then there's this process of taking it through some kind of personal, like you bring perspective to it, you bring your quirks to it, and that's what comes out the other side, if that makes any sense.
I love the wine analogy. Cool. Do you have any favorite pieces that I can show right now?
Oh my. Like that I've done?
For sure.
Oh man, I don't know if I consider anything my favorite. I will have to get back to you on that. I'll comment on that one too long. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I put you on the spot. I just thought it'd be fun to finish off with this. But
Yeah,
that
well,
is really hard for us because we're
yeah,
constantly creating.
it's all a blur for sure.
Well, you can find Tom on Skillshare with his many classes. What I love about Tom's classes is you go really deep and they're meaty and it's a lot to take in and just really hone in on your latest class, which is actually this very topic on style. So perfect. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you so much. Good luck with your these interviews that you're doing. I think it's a great idea.
Keep exploring style from A to Z as we continue with these short videos, meeting lots of artists, talking about their unique styles and all its different forms. Ready to explore style in your sketchbook? Check out Watercolor Bold, try out your first week free, and tell me if you love it. See the links below to get to know Tom, to find Bold, and to find more of these videos.